Hi and welcome back to another video of JPlay. I am Marcus and today should be a relatively short one because I'm taking a look inside the box of the first expansion of Anno 1800. Not sure if there will be more, but yeah, I'm definitely excited, especially when I first saw the announcement for this one. Really came to me as a big surprise. KOSMOS was kind enough to provide me the review copy for this expansion. So far I haven't played it, that's why I'm unboxing it. I will go through some of the expansion stuff. I did read through the rules, so hopefully I can give you some more insight into what these components do and what they maybe how they change the base game. So let's have a look inside the box, and of course here we have the rules. Obviously you're looking at the German version of the game, of the expansion, and there are already some rumors, I haven't verified those, that there might not be an English version for this expansion. Again, I can't really confirm or not confirm this. Maybe I will ask the publisher to confirm this, but yeah, there are already some discussions here on The Geek. This time they did include the solo stuff. Basically you get everything that you need to play this game solo as part of the expansion, and from what I can see, they already this solo rules here also do include the stuff that the expansion will add. So I think this is really something that they had to do, given, let's say, some of the complaints for the base game, that the base game didn't include the solo mode. Now you can download it for free from their website. I mean, yeah, you get the idea. So yeah, let's have a closer look at some of the stuff here. So here we have some cogwheels, so that's definitely something that's totally new, a completely new mechanic here. And I think these are, yeah, this is wood, very light wood. They come with some of the new cards that the expansion will have. I think these are called innovation cards also. Maybe let's have a closer look at those when we get. Well, let's look at the new stuff here. We have some more, I think artisans is the English term for those Handwerker in German. So they have introduced some more as part of this expansion. Maybe you are running out, and quite honestly, I think that is actually, let's call it a problem in the core game. This really seemed to happen, or also happened to me more than once. Here we have some more extension boards for your, yeah, for your own islands. Basically you get some more ships, so exploration ship and some more trade ships. Here you get a rules overview for how you're using those cogwheels. Now you have a space where you can store your gold and those cogwheels here, so you simply get those as part of setup. One of the major new things are those, let's maybe start with those, are those airships. Now they are now replacing the tier 3 trade ships, so you are removing those from the game. And these also, and they also come with their corresponding, yeah, I don't know, shipyards here for where you're building those. The different series, you can now also build them, yeah, not necessarily next to water, obviously. And also these airships now, you can park them more or less anywhere. You can park them over water, you can park them at coastal regions, you get the idea. And these big guns here are the hybrid airships, which I believe, from what I understood from the rules, you only are able to build them if you get the proper new mission cards out, basically. Only then will you be able to build those. But those normal airships are usually now really replacing the tier 3 airships here, respectively. You really remove the tier 3 airships out of this. Down here we see the so-called patterns, I believe these are being referred to, and that's a slightly new mechanic. So the first time you're building a new industry, you can now place a patent marker on those, and as long as the patent marker is on that industry, no one else can trade with that particular resource that you're producing from that industry. Honestly, I don't know if I like this one. I think it makes the game a little bit more cumbersome because you're moving these things around relatively quickly. Either when you're building a new industry, then you have to remove it. When you are taking this celebrational turn where you're returning all of your workers back home, then you have to remove them. Not sure, I may want to try this once, but reading this, not sure if I am really convinced about this new mechanic. These here are also something entirely new. These are, I think, unrest markers, and also, like with the hybrid airships, only come to play if you are using certain mission cards here from this deck randomly out. There is a suggestion how you are setting up the new, let's say, array of mission cards in there. And yeah, here's basically more of the same, more patterns and also unrest markers with somewhat of a higher value here. So now let's have maybe a quick look at some of the new cards that are being added. So here we have some new mission cards, and again, the expansion suggests you to use 2 from the expansion and then the rest from the base game to get a good mixture of things. But of course, it's totally up to you. So we have some here. These, for example, give you some of those, I think, risky innovation cards, I believe. So whoever has the most of those will score some points. Here you can now really trade those cogwheels into these hybrid airships. And during the game, you can then place these the blue ones, the fancy people, onto your airship, and then you will score points depending. So if you really get to manage 5 on your airship, you will score 40 points, which is really quite something. Here you can distribute unrest to the other players basically by using this, but you also need cannons respectively. And then here at the end of the game, whoever has the most amount of unrest will lose 10 victory points, or 4 if you are second place. And here you get the hybrids, and this Paloma Valente also allows you to upgrade those airships. Maybe I should show these to you, then they will give you more victory points at the end of the game. And yeah, basically all kind of stuff. Here you can use your you can use cogwheels to refill a ship or an airship, for example. So if you need trademarks desperately, then Old Nate here would be perfect. So these are all, I believe, mission cards from the expansion. They're also adding 2 more cards like this one here, Lady Margaret Hunt and Dr. Hugo Mercier. You can add those now basically to your base game. Cards is something I always do enjoy. Here we have those innovation cards. They are laying out, I don't know how many of those, 6 or 8 or so, are always on display. Then you can produce this, and when you produce it, you pretty much bring them out in front of you like a normal card. They will give you some endgame bonus points and generate you these cogwheels that you can use for all sorts of stuff. Maybe let me go through that a little bit later. So here we have some of those, and I think with these innovation cards, they are the normal innovations, and then there are some of the how are these called? I think the gray ones are actually the risky ones. And again, there is a mission card that will, I believe, either punish you for risky or give you victory points. Again, I really didn't go through that in detail, but that's basically how these work. They're not really different on their own, simply that these, I believe, are the risky ones and these are the normal ones, and they could give or take points away from you at the end of the game. Apart from that, they all work the same. This one here, instead of giving you cogwheels, obviously give you exploration markers, as you can see, or trade markers here respectively, or even gold. And I think that's basically what they're adding in respect to those cards. I like the whole innovation card mechanic. I like the new, let's say, mission cards that they're adding here. Again, not so much of a big fan of those patterns, but that's again only after reading this. I really need to give this a try. And I think last but not least, let's have a quick look at how you can use those cogwheels here respectively. So your turn now basically changes. So you have one main action, you can take one innovation action. This allows you to take one of these innovations that's on top of your main action to produce you these cogwheels. And then you also, on top of this, get to take one of these cogwheel actions. There might be a fancier name for those, but that's how I refer to those. So for 2, you can bring out or play out one of these farmer or how are these called, worker cards. You still have to pay, or you have to come up with the resources here respectively. Here you can, for 3 cogwheels, play one of these cards here, one of these foreign country cards. For 4 cogwheels, you can simply take an additional action, whatever you want to take. And this one here, I believe, allows you to build another industry. But again, you always have to also come up with the corresponding resources. And in respect to the resources, there is now, let's say, big change in respect to how you can trade. And I think this is really something I definitely do enjoy. Let me see if I find that. Of course, it's here in German. So apologies for that. So now, or in the base game, as you might remember, every time you traded, you had to make sure that some of your co-players had that industry, but they always received exactly 1 gold piece for the trade, no matter of what industry you were using. Now this has changed. This is now, and I think this is something that when I explained this game, and I explained this game a lot, this was always the first question when we're talking about trade. Do you always only get 1 gold no matter what? And this is exactly what they changed. So if you're now using an industry or trading an industry where you need a farmer or a worker, you now get 1 gold. But now for these artisans or the red folks, you would be getting 2 gold instead. And then for the engineers, the purple folks, you're now even getting 3 gold. So similar to what you have to pay in order to reactivate them, you're now getting the corresponding, let's say, currency in return when someone is using them for a trade. On top of this, you can now also trade the same resource up to 3 times per turn. And I think this is really also a great way how you can leverage that gold. But now you have to also, if you take basically the same resource the second time, you have to come up with 1 extra gold. For the second additional one, you have to pay 2 gold. So if you really want to trade the same reasons 3 times, you also have to pay 3 gold on top of this. The first one is always free for you, and from what I understood, you can also trade with different folks for each of these trades. But of course, the trade has to be available. And there is now also something, you can now also trade resources that require farmers, basically only the ones that are on your home islands. You can now trade them from the, let's say, common reserve if everyone at the table already have overbuilt. So you will always be able to trade. That's somewhat of an edge case and a little bit somewhat more of a late game scenario, but at least this is now possible. And I think the final major, let's call it somewhat major change, is now to celebrate your city. Again, when you are sending all of your fellows home, is now something that will immediately end your turn. Even so, when you are using bonus actions or free actions or whatever, you can't take them after that. So if you want to do that, make sure it is really your absolutely last action during your turn. So you can't do basically this celebration and then take immediately another turn. This is no longer possible. And I think this is also a clever change, because there were some edge cases in the past where this really was relatively powerful, especially when you had these bonus abilities here. Again, this is now something that you have to do basically at the last, basically as a last action during your turn. And I think that's more or less it, if I recall that correctly. But yeah, you want to maybe explore some of the stuff for your own. Again, these are these hybrid airships. This is the normal side. I briefly talked about this. So let's have a quick look at the back side. So now when you are able to upgrade them, again, this is only able if you are using one of these new cards. Let me see if I can find her again. I believe, yeah, exactly. It was Paloma Valente here. Again, I think that's the only way how you can upgrade those hybrid airships to their upgraded side. Then they will also give you 5 victory points at the end of the game, and will definitely guarantee you a lot trade power and exploration power. And as they're a hybrid, you can basically use them for both. And I think with that being said, that should be more or less it. Some subtle changes, some more cards, nothing really that makes the game crazy more complex or so, but definitely some very, very interesting new stuff. And I can't really wait to bring this back to the table. And yeah, let me know if you are interested. Maybe I will consider doing one of these scenarios using the expansion rules here, for example. Again, we are playing with some of the innovations and the new goals here. For example, you have to have 2 investors. These are the blue folks, by the way. We have to have 10 innovations and maximum 20 or 10 unrest, depending on your difficulty level. I mean, this is what, if you know the base game solo mode, then this is basically the same thing in the end. And of course, we have to be able to get all of our people cards out of our hand. Let me know if you're interested. Maybe I will consider playing 1 or 2 of these scenarios just to get a feeling of those. Maybe I should do that anyway, or I bring it to the table during game night. And yeah, I will then really consider doing another playthrough of this. I think I played this game on camera at least 4 or 5 times now, playing the campaign of the base game, and I'm still considering to maybe keep going if you're interested to see that. And yeah, with that being said, I really hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're looking forward to that. Again, I don't know if this will ever make it into an English version, but I think apart from the rules, and I think there are really some minor text here on these cards, this game is more or less language independent anyway, shouldn't be a big deal. And with today's AI potential, you can translate this on your own pretty much, yeah, within seconds or minutes. And yeah, before I forget, huge shout out to all of my patrons and channel members. Also welcoming a new patron on my channel. Didn't want to be mentioned, but yeah, definitely appreciate your support. You're a rock star. You all are rock stars, of course. So if you want to support my little channel, you will find a link to my page on Patreon. Join me here on YouTube. Click a thanks button. Definitely like and subscribe. Leave a comment. This also greatly helps the channel. And yeah, with that being said, hope to see you soon in one of my other videos. And yeah, until then, bye bye.